the final piece of the trilogy. In the first two videos of this series, we followed the story of David Stirling, the visionary who created the SAS, and Paddy Mayne, the warrior who turned Stirling's idea into a force of destruction across the desert. But there is one more name, the man who made the SAS possible, the man whose invention destroyed more enemy aircraft than the entire Royal Air Force bombing campaign in North Africa. This is the story of Jock Lewes, the quiet, intense, brilliant mind who solved the problem every expert said was impossible. And without him, the SAS would never have become what it did. The problem no one could solve. By mid-1941, the situation in North Africa was dire. The Luftwaffe dominated the sky. British convoys were bombed daily. Supply lines were shredded. Hundreds of British aircraft had already been lost. Everyone knew where the German airfields were. The problem was simple. No one could destroy them. RAF bombing raids required dozens of aircraft, perfect weather, and enormous fuel. Even successful raids destroyed only a handful of planes, and the Germans repaired everything within 48 hours. British engineers tried to design lightweight charges for ground raids. They failed. Every explosive powerful enough to destroy an aircraft was too heavy for a small team to carry across miles of desert. Committees were formed. Reports were written. Experts insisted it could not be done. And then came a man who wasn't an engineer, wasn't a demolitions expert, and wasn't even supposed to be designing weapons. Who was Jock Lewes? Lieutenant John Steele Jock Lewes was 27 years old. Welsh heritage. Educated at Oxford. Captain of the Oxford rowing team. Not a soldier by nature, but a man of absolute discipline, focus, and intensity. Before the war, he had worked with the Oxford University Boat Club and later volunteered with the British Volunteer Ambulance Corps in Finland. He was known for his seriousness, his intelligence, and his ability to fixate on a problem until it broke. When David Stirling formed Detachment, the experimental unit that would become the SAS, Lewes joined as one of the earliest members. Stirling brought vision. Mayne brought ferocity. Lewes brought something neither of them had. A mind built for solving impossible problems. The idea that changed everything. Lewes watched the engineers fail. He listened to experts explain why lightweight charges were impossible. He studied maps of German airfields pinned to tent walls, and instead of frustration, he felt curiosity. Everyone else was thinking about explosives the same way. Big blast caused big damage. Lewes asked a different question. What if you don't need a blast at all? What if you only need heat? Aircraft don't die from pressure. They die from fire. Aviation fuel ignites easily. Aluminium melts at around 660 degrees. Thermite burns at over 2,500 degrees. Thermite wasn't heavy. It wasn't loud. It wasn't complicated. And Lewes realized something no one else had. You don't need to blow up an aircraft. You just need to melt it. The canvas sock. With almost no equipment, Lewes began experimenting at night. His laboratory was a patch of desert sand. His tools were a few kilograms of plastic explosive thermite powder, dirty motor oil canvas socks. He mixed equal parts thermite and plastic explosive, binding them with oil. The oil slowed the burn, making the thermite cling instead of flashing out. He pressed the mixture into a sock, tied it shut, and created a device weighing about 500 grams, light enough for a man to carry 20. He didn't ask permission. He didn't write a report. He simply tested it. The first test. Lewes placed the device against a scrap fuel drum, lit a time pencil fuse, and walked away. There was no explosion, just a soft crack. Then fire. White hot, silent, terrifying fire that melted the drum into liquid metal. Lewes knew instantly. It worked. He brought the results to David Stirling the next morning. Stirling, who had been searching desperately for a solution, approved production immediately. No committee, no delay, just action. The Lewes Bomb was born. The first raid, Detachment, December 1941. On the night of December 14th, 1941, Paddy Mayne led 5 men into the German airfield at Detachment. Each carried 12 Lewes bombs. They moved silently between rows of aircraft, attaching the devices to engines and fuel lines. Each placement took less than 30 seconds. They were 2 miles away when the airfield lit up behind them. 24 German aircraft destroyed in a single night. Not damaged, not grounded, destroyed. The experts in Cairo who said it was impossible were proven wrong in the most dramatic way imaginable. The device that changed the war. Word spread fast. SAS teams requested Lewes bombs. Other units across the region asked for them. Production increased. Training expanded. Before the Lewes bomb, SAS raids destroyed 3-4 aircraft on average. After the Lewes bomb, they destroyed 15 to 30 aircraft per raid. By mid-1942, SAS teams had destroyed over 200 aircraft. By late 1942, the number passed 400. 5 men with canvas socks were doing more damage than entire RAF wings. Rommel himself ordered security overhauls across all airfields. He later wrote, "The SAS caused us more damage than any other British unit of equal strength. The Germans built watchtowers, doubled guard rotations, added searchlights, electrified fences, and deployed dog patrols. None of it stopped the SAS. The cost. The raids were not clean. They were not safe. Men crawled through minefields. They lay flat in the sand while German guards walked meters away. They were ambushed, shot at, bombed during extraction. Some were captured and spent the rest of the war in prison camps. Others never came back. The Lewes bomb was light. The danger was not." The death of Jock Lewes. On December 30th, 1941, just weeks after the Detachment raid, Jock Lewes was killed when a German aircraft strafed his vehicle in the Libyan desert. He was 28 years old. He never saw the 400 aircraft destroyed. He never saw the SAS become legendary. He never saw the impact his invention had on the war. David Stirling described him as irreplaceable, not as a polite tribute, but as a statement of fact. Lewes was the technical mind behind everything the SAS could do. The regiment buried him in the desert and kept going. The legacy of Jock Lewes. After the war, historians studying captured German records confirmed the scale of the SAS's impact. The Lewes bomb appeared not as a footnote, but as a turning point in special operations history. The SAS was disbanded in 1945, a mistake quickly corrected when it was rebuilt in 1947. Its methods became the blueprint for Delta Force Navy SEALs, Australian, New Zealand, and Canadian Special Forces, countless modern special operations units. Modern demolition charges are factory-made and far more advanced. But the principle Lewes discovered remains unchanged. The goal is not the biggest explosion. The goal is the right effect with the least possible weight. Every Special Forces unit in the world still uses that logic, whether they know Lewis's name or not. His portrait hangs in the SAS regimental headquarters. Veterans who carried his bombs spoke of him with a unique respect, not just for bravery, but for being right when everyone else was wrong. The mind behind the SAS. In this trilogy, we've seen David Stirling, the visionary, Paddy Mayne, the warrior, Jock Lewes, the architect. Stirling created the SAS. Mayne gave it teeth. Lewes gave it the tool that made it unstoppable. He solved a problem every expert said was impossible. He built a weapon alone in the desert that changed the course of the North African campaign. And he did it with nothing more than thermite, motor oil, plastic explosive, and a canvas sock. Jock Lewes didn't live to see what he created. But every Special Forces soldier who has ever operated behind enemy lines carries a piece of his thinking. He was the quiet mind behind the loudest results. And without him, the SAS story, Stirling's story, Mayne's story would have been very different. Thank you so much for coming along with me through the story of Lieutenant John Steele Jock Lewes and his extraordinary military exploits. If you want to catch up with the other stories from the two other leaders of the SAS, I have those stories ready for you on my channel. Comment below what topics you would like me to cover. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on the next one.